welcome. This is Orsi and this is going to be my... Oh, I forgot the hashtag. It's something like hashtag decks that stood out. No, it wasn't in the past tense. So like decks that stand out 2022 or stood out or something like that. You will see in the title, and I'm not gonna be bothered to restart this video. So this is me, as per usual. So I picked out a few decks. Honestly, there's not a lot because I wasn't doing a lot of tarot reading this past year. This year could easily try to compete with the worst year of my life title. So, and that's not an easy thing to do. So my practice or just me as a practicing tarot reader, or which I'm trying to be, got very tested, as in there were times when I couldn't even do readings or stuff like that. But enough of that fun, recollection of the year. Let's talk about decks that when I actually used, I was surprised by them in a good way. And some are things that I never expected to be so bonded with. Some are here because, or maybe just one, because they are pretty. Okay, because, a deck's prettiness can, like stand out, I think. The aesthetical pleasing aspect of a deck can stand out. But let's start with something that actually was very, very useful, and I didn't expect it to be that useful. Is the StarDragon's Oracle cards. I got this deck because the dragons were kind of okay. I'm very picky when it comes to dragons. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Orsi and I'm very picky about my dragons. But Paolo Barbieri's artwork is kind of that. It's kind of like that 90s, early 2000s fantasy dragon artwork that I liked. There's a lot of beast illustration in that era, which I absolutely hate because dragons are looking stupid and vicious and ugly, and like I said, I'm very, very picky. But his artwork was something that I've seen, colors, or usually the face of the dragon is what is a deal breaker for me. So, originally I just picked it up because I liked how it looked, but I was very surprised by it, and I talked about this in my 6-month in video where I talk about my more in-depth experience with the deck, how supportive of this deck was for me. I pulled a card every day when I was really going through a lot of things, and honestly sometimes the message of the card was the only thing that I could focus on and keep holding on and think about it, just a reminder to get through the day. So it's a deck that gives you clear messages, but it's not bullshitting you, but it's also not too harsh, because I kind of feel like it's a reminder it was a reminder for me to deal with my emotions. I don't think but I probably pulled every card at least once, because I did daily readings with this deck for more than a month, and there were repeating ones for sure. But I really like that there's a keyword, and then there's a title sentence or something that embodies the meaning of the card. There's there's a lot more in the guidebook, and I always read through the guidebook. But even if you don't do that, the keywords and, for example, grief, accepting loss, can be very, very powerful. And yeah, so this card, for example, protection, finding what's important, was something that came up for me a lot of the time. So yeah, It was a very surprising experience working with this deck. I didn't expecting it, and I can't even remember why I started pulling daily from this deck. I know that my word of the year came from this deck, which was, I don't even know, it was self, but I kind of don't know where is the, I kind of want to show you. Why is it upside down? Yeah, this was my year of the word, the self, gathering your power, and boy oh boy was it accurate in a way that I didn't expecting working on myself. But you know, that's what you get when you try to be spiritual. A lot of lessons you learn. So like I said, it's a surprising, in a very powerful and good way deck for me, which I can definitely recommend if you're looking for something, you know, working through your emotions, or you want daily reminders of how to work with them, how to work with what you feel. I think this deck resonates with that very well. Obviously, we are different, you know, not everybody is going to feel like that, but if you have the deck, give it a try. The second one was also something like that, as in communicating with myself through cards. I can't open it. And this was a deck that I talked about it in the first time. I don't think I did the 6 months in yet. I have to check. But this was a deck that I was sure I will never get, because I wasn't connecting with the artwork right away, and that's sometimes, you know, it happens that I just look at a deck and, oh, I want it because I can feel it, even through a screen, that it's gonna be something really powerful, or we're gonna just, you know, get along fine. But even if I appreciate, for example, the Empress being a tree, the artwork itself doesn't excite me, and that's true for her other deck that I have, the Wide Unknown Archetypes, which I should use more. That one I wanted because of Diane, because she went through the cards in live streams, and that was very useful because that showed me how deep the deck was, so that made me curious about this one. But I still felt like this is not, you know, this is not me. We're not gonna get along. Okay, I like that card actually too well, because of cards like this. Like, this is just a simple Pipish deck, and even if when it's not Pipish, I wasn't like drawn to the artwork or the idea of the deck, even though everybody and their mother said that this is a different one. But then a friend of mine showed me her copy, and when I flipped through the deck in person, I immediately felt something. And that sounds ridiculous to some people, and it might have felt ridiculous for me too a few years ago, but I think because I work with energy, or try to work with energy a lot, I'm getting more in tune with how certain things bring energy into my life. I love that Hermit. And I don't know, I can't explain it why this deck works so well for me, still after using it for months for all of my personal readings. Because to be honest, every time when I want to do a reading for myself, I'm starting to think about which deck, and then I always end up using this one. So it pretty much jumped the queue and stepped up as a personal deck for me. And it's surprising because the connection is still not with the artwork. It's just, I don't know, I can't explain it, but it became a very important deck for me, and something that I will never, I don't think, at least right now, I don't think I will ever, you know, get rid of, because it's foundational on a very personal side of things. So that was very surprising. Another one was the Game of Thrones tarot. I was, eyeing this deck for quite a few or months or a long time because, well, Game of Thrones. But by the time I was actually thinking about getting it, the show was over, and I was thinking maybe it was just, a fandom deck. Maybe this is not something that I would actually use now that I'm not reminded of the show every day. So I wasn't sure, should I get it, should I not? But every time that I saw it on Book Depository getting discounted, I was very tempted. And then one day, how it happens, I just pulled the plug, and I was like, you know what? Even if you don't like it, it's still connecting to a fandom that I really like, to a TV show and books that I really like. And then by some chance of luck, I got the linen version, which turns out is the first edition, even though it's not supposed to be available anymore. And a friend of mine ordered the deck from Book Depository after he saw that I had the linen, and he wasn't that lucky. So for some reason, I was supposed to get the linen version. So this just proves that some decks are meant to be in your collection in a form that they are supposed to be there, and some decks are not. And then I started using it for all of the House of the Dragon readings, which are so fun, and I can't wait the second season, because honestly, watching that show was already fun, but doing these weekly readings before each episode was even more fun, because this deck reads so well, and it was so clearly in tune with that show. I know it's, like a similar show, so obviously it was obvious that, I can use the deck because it's the same word, but it was so surprisingly in tune with the show itself and the characters itself that, it was a really fun experience to do readings with a deck that was created for a TV show about a sister TV show of that show. And I know I said show quite a lot of times, but I used it in, not just regarding those TV show readings, and it works very well. But the fun element comes using this deck for that, because of how much you can layer in to the cards based on the show. So yeah, this was a fun surprise, that how well tarot can be used to have fun as well, not just for serious things. And I know that tarot comes from a card game, but for me, this deck and these readings show that, I'm not saying not taking it seriously, but having fun with readings is a real possibility, because I usually just go down the serious path road, and then, I'm just saying there. Another something that, like another deck that has something similar. Yeah, I know I need to put sentences more together. More correctly together, whatever, was the Mythical Medleys. Oh yeah, this was sent for me for review. This was the only deck. I haven't gotten anything from Liminal 11 since, so probably they didn't like my Seed and Sickle review, or I don't know, but it's okay. I appreciate that I got anything. But this was a deck that I normally wouldn't have picked up, because I remember seeing these type of cartoons in TV when I was growing up, but I never cared for them that much. And even though, this looks fun, I don't think I would have ever picked this up, which would have been a mistake because this deck reads so well for everyday situation. And I started using it for the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, which I still need to do an update after the appeals. And I was very surprised how well it reads for, look at that, everyday emotional life questions. Because, you know, there was a lot of what does the legal team think, you know, and there was a lot of, most of the readings were about just, you know, how the legal team's handling the case, because I don't like to do readings about the, you know, people who are not asking for it. So I was thinking that doing it as a legal team, as something that's public, was okay for me to do. And the cards were quite correct, and they were saying things that I was not expecting at all. So that's something that was surprising with this deck. And then I used it for, like I said, like every day. What am I supposed to do in this situation type of readings? You know, when you just want some, not easy answers, but you want answers that are not tied to a deep shadow work, you know, like a deep, really deep work, because sometimes we don't have time, or we don't want to do that. So in a way, it kind of comes close to how I think Lenormand reads, which I still haven't managed to learn correctly. I struggle with Lenormand a lot. But I think that this deck has that more direct approach to everyday situations, that I think how, you know, Lenormand reads. So that's why it was quite surprising, and it's a very good deck. And I'm gonna keep it for sure. I think I featured it in my foundational, or there was a hashtag about foundational decks or something like that, and this was in it. Okay, next one was a purchase that I just got it because I needed a deck, and this looked good enough. It happens. But to be honest, I wasn't expecting to connect with this deck as well as I did, because I'm not a horror fan. I don't care for horror. I don't like watching horror movies. I like psychological thrillers, but I don't like the gore and the scare, and I don't like to be scared. Jump scare and stuff like that, no thank you. But one thing that was already, you know, in favor of this deck was the illustration, because I really like the Darkwood Tarot, and it's the same illustrator, which I'm not gonna be able to say immediately again like last time. What I'm gonna look for the illustrator's name, because Abigail Larson, because it's not fair to say that I love the illustration style and the art and not know who was the illustrator. So Abigail Larson, thank you so much for creating 2 decks now, and I love them both. And it was surprising because I think this is what I said in my first impression video, is I kind of feel like that the horror tarot is that dark pocket of the dark wood where you don't want to, you know, step foot, where you know, that area in an already dark and kind of scary forest where you know you shouldn't go, because unspeakable evil, or not evil, darkness lives there. So I kind of feel like this is the shadow work deck within a shadow world, and it reads really well. It reads easy. So I don't know, maybe that says something that I connected with the idea of a really dark part of, not my psyche, but, you know, just in general, the human psyche so well. Maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, I was surprised very, very positively. And besides the titles, which are hard to read, they are pretty, you know, they are red foiled. But I wish they would be bigger and just different because you cannot read them. Besides that, I really like the cardstock. And I actually like the illustration as well. It's not as gory, even though, as I was expected it. And it's very well done. So, definitely a surprise, in a good way. Look at those eyes. It can be a fun deck as well. It worked very well. Maybe a little too well for the Cluedo game that I played with tarot. Okay, and I think I have the last one. I only have 5 decks, right? No, 6. Okay, is the True Black Holo edition, because like I said, sometimes you can get a deck because it's pretty, and this is beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's a limited edition. I'm not entirely sure it's still available when this video goes up. So do check it out. I do have the regular edition, and it's exactly the same, just the foiling is holographic. But why it surprised me is not because it's beautiful. I already knew that this deck is beautiful. But I mean, okay, the backs are best viewed in yellow light, so I'm not sure if you can, you know, see a lot from the holo and the rainbow. But what surprised me is that I don't know why, but because it makes no sense, but because of the different foiling and how that's more visible, and I should have shown, maybe I'm gonna show you guys a regular card so that I can make it more obvious from, you know, from the regular deck. If you look at it, you don't see the title because it's black. I mean, obviously if you know, direct the light, you can see what's been foiled, but I don't think I can show you the same card. No, whatever. But we have this one. The Hermit is kind of similar to placement of the star. When I look at this, the figure is what's highlighted. Everything that's foiled is in the background. It's an added layer. It's in the shadows. It's waiting for you to discover, so to speak. And let's not mix the two decks. But with the new kind of holographic foiling, that's in the forefront. It's more, you know, look at the High Priestess. When you look at the card, the foiling is the more visible element of the card. And then you look at the High Priestess itself. So it's shifting focus on cards in a way that it highlights something else than I would have seen with the original one. So, oh, sorry. What surprised me was that how much you know, a deck can change regarding of where the focus is drawn to. You know, where your focus is actually drawn to. So, you know, the prettiness is not exactly surprising, even though it is beautiful and I just loved it. And I'm really happy that I was able to get it. But I was surprised that I don't look at the two decks as the same deck, but I look at them as a different decks, which I was not expecting. I was kind of, you know, thinking that I'm gonna be using this or that, but looks like I'm gonna be using both. So that was surprising, and that was a very nice surprise for the end of this very interesting year. Okay, and yeah, I think that was all. Like I said, I didn't really use a lot of decks, but what I've used were actually very meaningful and I learned a lot from them. So in a way, this was a better year regarding of my reading practice, but nothing else, which I hope I can carry through to the new one. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this. I hope this was interesting. If you don't do a video response, because I'm going through videos, I'm trying to catch up, then please do let me know which decks are surprising in a good way or in a meaningful way for you this year in the comments. And hope you liked this video. If you liked it, subscribe, stick around, come watch me when I do some lives, and see you next time. Bye!